morning, everyone. We are back. Welcome to our Thursday morning yoga zone practice. This is Annie from Eat Move Milwaukee. I thank the Milwaukee Rec Department for keeping us connected here in this way. So in our yoga zone class today, so yoga zone is a practice that is sort of customized around a specific target area, or we might do a certain muscle group or joints or something like that. And so we had a request this week for wrists. So that's not something I have focused on specifically before in a whole practice. And so we're going to do quite a bit of wrist work, but also work into the arms and the upper back a little bit too, but mostly wrists. So I thank you for this suggestion. And so just take it as you can. Some of you may have, different strains in your wrists than others, depending on what kind of work you do on a regular basis. I find lately that I've had a lot of cramping in my left forearm and wrist. And so we'll see if I'm not jolted here at some point today. But I think it'll be good. I think it'll be good for that, for working into some of that. So you will need, or I highly recommend blocks or something of that sort today. You only need one for one piece that we're going to do a little bit later. So if you have a book that will not flop open when you hold it, that might also work. But something that can keep your wrists stable, and you'll see what that's about a little bit later. So we're going to start in a seated position. If you want to have that block underneath the sit bones to begin, you could take that now, allowing those hips to release, those knees to drop open a little bit wider. We'll just start by bringing our attention right here to the mat. Just feel those sit bones rooting into the mat or your block. See if you can find that tall spine. Lift up and out of the hips. Drop those shoulders away from the ears. And once you find a place that is relatively comfortable, you could start to notice your breath. Just notice that breath flowing in and out of your body. Keep finding a taller spine and a longer and deeper breath. I invite you to set your intention for this practice. What is it that you would like for your focus today? What do you need? What brought you here? Breathe into that intention, let it set in. Take one more round of breath. And then you can keep the eyes closed. We'll move into a breathing exercise that is actually mostly a kind of a little bit of a meditation that will start to get those wrists going. So I'll explain this to you. Again, you can keep those eyes closed if you want, or you can open for a moment. So we're going to take our hands and take each finger and bring it to the thumb. Just one at a time, slowly. So that gives us 4 fingers to work with on each hand that we're bringing towards the thumb. So you can let those hands rest on the knees, palms facing up, opening first. And then as you bring each finger to the thumb, we'll say one word of a mantra. So I usually use some kind of phrase like, I choose peace now, or I choose joy now, I choose love now, whatever you wish. If there's another 4-word phrase that you prefer, you could take that. And so just bringing each finger to the thumb slowly as you say that phrase. And then you can go back, starting with the pinky, ring, middle, pointer, and go back through the fingers, or just start from the beginning again. So you can go back and forth, but tapping 4 times with each of those words. So you can close those eyes again if you opened them for a moment. Find your tall spine, root through the sit bones. And just to yourself, or if you're in your own space and you want to say it out loud, you could just say each word to that phrase, breathing as you go. You might take a full inhalation as you go down the hand, and then a full exhalation as you go back. Take 2 more rounds of this mantra with a full breath on the way and a full breath out on the way back. And then slowly release those hands. You might place the palms down and open the eyes, just noticing what that feels like for the wrists already. So it's a good way to get a breathing exercise going, to get a little bit of meditation, find some stillness, take away the sense of sight, but also to start feeling those wrists and those forearms. So there you have that. You can take that meditation, that mantra meditation, anytime. So put that in your toolbox along with some of those different pranayama, those mindful breathing exercises that we have. Okay, so moving now into our stretching the spine, excuse me. So if you have that block underneath the hips, you might remove it now, and we'll move our spine in 7 directions, adding some other wrist exercises as we go. Let's take those arms up, really lift up and out of those hips, wiggle those fingers, reach up. You might intertwine those hands and press those hands to the sky, starting to awaken those wrists and forearms a little bit more. Drop the shoulders away. And then we'll let that left arm fall, and that right arm, see, I always do this the wrong way, that right arm is going to come to the side of the head as we tip towards the right shoulder. It's like patting your head and rubbing your belly, right? Sometimes I get a little crossed in my brain. Okay, so we've got our left arm out long. We're pressing the head into the hand, so not yanking the head down, but pressing it gently into the hand, stretching the neck, but also starting to draw attention to this wrist. So flexing that wrist, you might flex and extend. So while we are stretching the neck, since this practice today is about wrists, let's draw our attention more to that wrist. So noticing that long line of energy from the wrist to the neck, to the top of the head. And slowly breathe as you move through that wrist. And then we'll release. Take those arms back up to the sky. We might extend those palms up with interlocked hands again. And then we'll take it the other way. So there we go. I got it now. Okay. Tilting that head to the left. Pressing the head into the hand. And then you can make that long line with the other arm. Flexing the wrist and extending. And this is where I was talking about I start to feel a little bit of cramping. So noticing that, not forcing myself into any place of pain or agony, but moving through it with my breath. Try to keep that long spine as you're pulling this head. Excuse me, we're not pulling the head, as we're pressing the head into the hand, as we're stretching the neck. And release. Take those arms up to the sky again, and we'll fold forward. So just starting to creep those fingers out. Inhale, reach the crown of the head forward. Exhale, melt that heart down. Take the arms back up on an inhale. We'll circle those shoulders around, point those fingers towards the glutes, and open up the chest. So you might even notice some movement, or not movement, but some how your wrists feel here as you're pressing those hands down. And then reach the arms back to the sky. And we're going to send those palms forward here. So reaching up, drop the shoulders away, bring your palms, or bring fingers to the palms, and then open up. So just notice how that feels to flex and extend those fingers. And then we'll start doing that a little faster. So flashlight hands, I call this. And you might start feeling this very quickly in the wrists. Notice how it feels in the arms. You might feel it in the shoulders, upper back. So we're toning the arms, shoulders, upper back, but also working into those wrists and starting to strengthen. So keep this going, keep your breath moving, find that tall spine. Notice if you're holding tension, and my hands start going at different speeds. Take 2 or 3 more, and then reach up, and we'll send those arms over to the right in a lateral bend. So notice how that felt for the wrists. We're strengthening and stretching those wrists and forearms today. Take another breath in, and let it out. Take it over to the other side. Reach through those fingers. And back up to the sky. And then we'll turn those palms in. So we had them facing forward before. Now we're turning them in. Again, drop your shoulders away from your ears. Lift up. Pull navel into the spine. So we're getting some core work here too, engaging. And then just start to flip palms in and out. And use your breath on all of these. The flashlight was a bit fast. You could do that with Breath of Fire, Kapalabhati, if you're familiar with that. I was thinking about that this morning. I don't do that in classes right now because of masks. But if you're familiar with Breath of Fire, you could certainly take that with those arms overhead. It's often what we do in yoga practice when we're doing it full out. So here, we're just rotating, twisting, palms in, palms out. Again, noticing the strength and the toning happening with the arms, the shoulders drop, shoulders away from ears. And finding that stretch and that strengthening in the upper arms. Maybe your hands are starting to tingle a little bit. Take 2 more. And then reach up. And then we'll take a twist. So that does take, it is a little bit of a strain to do some of those exercises. And the more we practice them, the better they feel and the easier they get as we become stronger in those areas. So using that breath as you go through those is very important, as it is with any movement in yoga. Take another breath in here. Exhale, twist a little bit more deeply. And then we'll take that back arm around to the opposite knee. Again, we're going to get into the upper back a little bit as well. Take opposite shoulders if you wish, or you could twist up those arms into eagle arms. Next breath in brings those hands to the sky. You could draw those elbows away, noticing that stretch through the upper back. Breathe here. One more breath in, lift up. Exhale, release. Inhale up again. And then we'll take that twist to the other side. Find length as you breathe in. Exhale, deepen the twist. And then we'll bring that back arm around, cross at the elbows. You could take opposite shoulders or twist arms into those eagle arms on this side. Inhale, lift those hands up. Exhale, draw those elbows away. One more breath in, lift up. Exhale, release. And let's shake it all the way out. Really shake out those wrists and arms. And then we'll bring the hands to the center. We're going to make a figure 8 with those hands. If you want to keep those forearms together and isolate more through the wrists, you could do that. Otherwise, just gently allowing those wrists to move. Take it slowly. And keep your attention on your breath. Let's change directions here. And release. So moving into another breathing exercise now. It's not an official pranayama, but we are going to focus on our breath. So we'll take those arms up on an inhalation, and then exhale, draw those hands down into Anjali Mudra. Those hands in prayer pose. Inhale up again. Big breath in, gather that energy, bring your hands together, exhale slowly down to heart. You could close your eyes and just take that for a few rounds. One more round. Take a big breath in. And we meet with those hands at heart center. So in this Namaste Anjali Mudra position, we're going to do a little bit more wrist work. So you can really press those palms together and start to draw those hands down so that you're directing those fingers towards the earth. Now they may not go straight down, depending on your flexibility in your wrists or even your elbows. We start heading in that direction, and you might immediately notice a stretch through the forearm or the wrists. So let's inhale back up, and slowly exhale back down. Pressing those palms together the whole time. The more you press, the more of a stretch you'll get through those wrists and forearms. Inhale. Exhale. Take that at your own pace, just back and forth gently. And the more you press those palms, you even draw those elbows a little wider. The more you press those palms together, the more intensely you might feel that. And release. So shake out those wrists. So from here, we're going to extend these legs. You've had them crossed for a good while. Just slowly extend those legs out. Shake them a little bit. We'll move into a forward fold. So if you like to take a strap and wrap that around the balls of the feet, go ahead. I didn't bring that into the supply list for props today, but that is always an option. So take those arms up. As you reach up, take a breath in, and then exhale, gently start to fold forward. If those hamstrings feel tight, by all means, bend those knees as much as needed. Take another breath in, extend through the crown, and then exhale, melt. One more breath in. Release a little bit more deeply, and all the way back up. And we'll shake those arms out again. Bring that right knee in towards the body. Give it a hug. We'll cradle it and just rock back and forth. And then place that foot beside the long leg, beside that left leg. So it might be on the upper thigh, it might be lower, it might be on the knee. So when we do tree pose, when we're standing up, we typically talk about keeping that knee away from the joint, or that foot away from the knee joint. But here, since we're sitting, different orientation, less pressure, you're welcome to bring that foot to the to the knee joint if you need to. So from here, we'll take those arms up, breath in, and then exhale, start to fold over that long leg. You might reach the right hand for the outside of that left leg, the calf, and gently bring yourself down. Stay with your breath. And all the way up. And release those arms down with control. And then we'll bring that leg back out. Take those arms out to the side and sweep the left arm underneath the right. We'll cross at the elbows. Take those opposite shoulders or twist up those arms again. Big breath in, lift up out of the hips. And exhale, let's fold here again. So we're folding forward with those eagle arms. As you take your next breath in, reach those elbows or those hands closer to the feet, and then melt. Inhale back up. Exhale, release those arms, reach up. Take another forward fold. And we'll release and shake out those legs. So now from here, we're going to bring our arms out again. So take those arms out to the side. So with this position here with the legs out, we're getting, like I say, some core engagement. So take your thumb, and first we're gonna actually bring, let's see, how do we do this? We bring our thumb into the palm. It's been a little while since I've done some of these exercises, so I thank you for the suggestion made today to bring these back to my memory. So we bring that thumb into the palm, and then we wrap those fingers around the thumb. So from here, reach those arms out to the side, and then we're going to take those hands or those wrists like you're pouring something out. So imagine you're pouring something, and notice how that feels for the wrist. Use your breath. Inhale, release. Exhale, pour. So while you're pouring and you're stretching that wrist, keep reaching those arms out as long as you can. And I'm noticing here, if you can see my toes, that as I pour, my toes curl too. It reminds me of playing video games as a kid. I was the one who had to move across the room in order to get the control to do what I wanted. I couldn't just sit still. So my body responds in different ways to try to get other parts to do things. Take a couple more, using that breath, moving slowly through those wrists. And release. Let's take those arms up to the sky again. Breathe in. Exhale, fold. Notice the stretch for the upper back if you can bind in some way, either with that strap or with that feet. Notice how this is stretching the upper back as well. And release. We'll take that left knee into the chest this time and give it a little hug. And then we'll sway that leg back and forth and plant it next to that leg. So if you need support, this is my knee that's still giving me a little trouble. So I'm going to prop it here, which feels all right. Nice to have that support. Lift up, breathe in, and then take that all the way out. One more breath in and release. We'll come all the way back up. Let those arms drop. Extend that leg. Take another breath in and fold. So getting a little bit of leg work here as well while we're stretching the upper body and those wrists, and come back up. So now we'll take the arms out again. This time sweep the right under the left, cross at the elbows, take shoulders or twist up into eagle arms. Breathe in. Notice that stretch, that tone across the upper back. Exhale, fold. Reach those hands or elbows out on your next inhalation. Exhale, fold more deeply. Let that head relax. Next inhale brings you up. Exhale, release. Take those arms up again. And fold forward. Come back up. And then we'll take those arms back out to the sides. So this time, we're going to bring those hands out. We're going to wrap so we have our palms down this time. Wrap the fingers in first, and then tuck the thumb over those fingers. And then we're just going to lift those wrists up and down. So again, just flexing and extending those wrists. If you're lifting a pail, dropping it. So just tune into where you are with the forearms. My left forearm is feeling that tightness, maybe a little bit of pre-cramping as I go. So breathe into it. There's my toes wiggling again with my hands. Awareness. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, extend that wrist. Let's take 2 more. And release, shake it out here. All right, so we're going to move into a tabletop position now. Moving back to the wrists with the use of gravity or our body weight. So we'll move on to our hands and knees. So to begin, just find those wrists, elbows, and shoulders stacked. Those hands are shoulder width apart. We're going to just start with some cat-cow movement here. So gently drop the belly down. You might wiggle from side to side, noticing that stretch through the side body. And we'll move into our next pranayama, our square breath through cat-cow and tabletop. So once you find that neutral spine, we'll inhale, dip that belly down, breathe in 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath here, hold this pose, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, spine to the sky, let it go. 3, 2, 1. Remain here with the breath out. 3, 2, 1. Inhale, dip down. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Press that floor away. Breathe out. 3, 2, 1. And remain here with the breath out. 3, 2, 1. Take 2 more rounds at your own pace. You might even feel yourself retracting the shoulder blades as you dip down. So letting those shoulder blades sort of jut out the back. And then as you breathe out, you might protract those shoulder blades. So really sending those shoulder blades towards the chest, drawing the navel into the spine. Think about that movement through the shoulders. And when you're finished with those 2 rounds, you could take a child's pose or puppy pose, whatever would feel good to you at this point, just for a moment until you'll finish. And then come back to those knees for a little bit more wrist work here. So we've done some of these in classes before. If you haven't, it's fine, I'll explain it to you. We're going to start by sending those wrists forward. So turning those fingers back towards the knees. And this can be quite intense for those forearms, those wrists. So if this doesn't feel good on your knees, you can always sit up on knees or on your bottom and take it this way where we're gently pulling those fingers back. Okay. So different ways we can do this without using our body weight, which makes it more intense. So if you are on your hands and knees, just gently begin to rock those hips back very slowly. This is quite intense, like I said. Just take it easy. Stay with your breath. So if you are moving slowly back and forth, use that breath. Inhale, shift forward. Exhale, slowly release back. And then we'll send those palms up. So those wrists are ahead, palms are up, fingers are towards the knees. And same thing. Just notice how that feels here. And then lastly, we can bring those fingers towards the center, wrists facing out, And just gently sway back and forth. Taking care, taking this slowly. And then when you're ready, we'll place those hands a little bit ahead of the shoulders. Tuck the toes. And send those heels back into plank. You might be in a plank on your knees, and that's fine too. So wherever you are, again, getting into those wrists, we're going to start to saw back and forth slightly. So if you're in a high plank, that movement might be easiest to create by rolling through the toes and the ball of the foot and letting that sort of propel you forwards and backwards. So if that's too much in a high plank, you could simply shift forwards and backwards. It's not as easy when you're on your knees, but it's possible. And maybe you don't need it to be as intense. So again, you could shift forwards and backwards here. And we'll drop those knees for a moment. Send those hips back slightly so those hands are again in front of the shoulders. Tuck the toes. Send those hips up to downward facing dog. So from here, really press that heart towards the thighs. Wiggle those fingers. Start to tap out those fingers on the mat. And then put equal weight through the balls and the heels of the hands. Noticing how this feels for the wrists. We'll place those knees down again. And bring those forearms to the earth. So bring those elbows right underneath the shoulders. It's not important right now where the hips are in relation to the knees because we're going to be moving. But notice how you can bring those elbows under the shoulders. Then join your palms and then tuck those toes again if you untuck them and send those hips high. So now we're in more of a dolphin plank. So again, keeping those elbows under the shoulders and we can saw back and forth. So not working through wrists here, but those arms and shoulders and upper back as I also mentioned that we would do. So sawing back and forth in these dolphin push-ups. One more. We'll drop those knees down and take a child's pose. Rolling those wrists if you need to here in child's pose. And from here, we'll tuck those toes again. Start to walk those hands back to the back of your mat and allow yourself to roll onto the heels and gently come up. Rolling slowly up. Shoulders come back, and we can pause for a moment in our mountain pose. Eyes closed, finding alignment with the feet and the hips. Roll those shoulders back and down. Pull the navel into the spine, and just notice your breath. Come back to your intention. And release. So if you have that block or a book nearby, we'll take that now. So from here, let me get a little bit lower so you can see me. From here, we're going to take this block. So you could do this from a knee, you could do it from standing. When I stand, as you can see, my head gets cut off. So that might be fun since we're getting towards Halloween. We have the headless yogini, but let's not. So we're going to take this block between the wrists. So aligning the front of that block or book that you may have with the front of your wrist. So you can see there, I have it like that. Pressing into that block with my forearms, my palms are facing up. And then we can take those hands and just bring them into fists. So from here, we're going to start to rotate through those wrists, pressing into that block and slowly rotate those wrists in. So this block gives us stability with those forearms. We're really isolating that wrist joint and not bringing, the elbow into it or something else. So we're really isolating here so we can just slowly focus on rolling that wrist. So come up and around towards the block. Make this very intentional. Use your breath. Inhale as those hands come up. Exhale as they rotate down. And then we'll take it in the other direction. Inhale as those fists scoop towards the center. Exhale as they come around the outside. One more round. can open up those hands and wiggle the fingers. So from here, actually we'll wait till we get back down to the ground to do that. Since we're kind of I'm in a half squat anyway, I'm halfway there. If you're standing, we'll come back up and start to work into the forearms a little bit. So I'm going to take a wide-legged stance, toes pointed out, and start to bend into those legs. So I got to give you a little bit of lower body work today, as we did there with our forward folds. So sink that tailbone into the earth, but let's bring those arms and those hands back into it. So you could take those arms into goddess arms here, strengthening the shoulders, the upper arms, upper back. You could also bring those forearms together and bring the hands to prayer or clasp those fingers, intertwine those fingers. And press those forearms together, sink the tailbone a little deeper, and then maybe raise those arms up. So it's not quite like in eagle arms where we have them twisted, but here as we're raising those arms up, you might feel some engagement in the chest, in the shoulders, in the forearms. And you could try to roll through the wrists here. A lot going on. Keep your breath moving. Sink that tailbone a little deeper. If you want to add balance, you could go up onto the toes. Keep sinking a little deeper. Raise those arms up a little bit more. Breathe here. Lower the heels if you were balancing. Send arms all the way up to the sky. And hands down to heart. So we'll heel toe those feet together just a little bit. And if you'd like to take another squat that we just did, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, please join me in Malasana, or a deeper yogic squat. So my Malasana is about 90% these days with this knee. So I'm going to bring this block behind just for a little bit more support, because I'm a little cattywampus. So having that support there, I still get the benefits of a squat. Good for digestion, moving things around in our digestive system. And I'm also going to lift up and out of those hips, bringing those elbows wide to press the knees open. So if you do have any knee issues, you could certainly avoid this pose, but I find this block to be incredibly helpful. So please use those props to your advantage so you're not straining those joints any more than you need to on a given day. It's good to keep them loose and supple, but we don't need to make them be heroes if they don't need to. So keep pressing those knees open, lift up and out of those hips. And again, here we're pressing those hands together. So we could take those hands down from our Namaste Anjali Mudra and back up. Use your breath. Exhale down, press hands together. Inhale back up. Keep broadening the collarbone. Keep lifting that torso so your spine is really long. One more round here. And then release. So if you have that block, you can remove it and release all the way down. We'll extend those legs out in front of us. Give them a little shake. Good work here. Reach those arms up. Big breath in. And then we'll fold forward. And release. We'll take one more stretch here with the wrist. So take your right hand out. Either hand, really, it doesn't matter. We're going to do both. And we'll take a hold of that pinky. Inhale as you pull it down, and then exhale as you draw it back. Next inhale, we pull the ring finger down. Exhale, we pull it back. And on. Inhale, pull down. Exhale, pull back. For the thumb, we'll take the backs of the hands and bring them together, and then loop the pointer finger and the other thumb around that thumb. Inhale, pull it out, and exhale, draw it back. And we'll switch to the other hand. So if you're doing this outside of this practice, please take all the time that you want Several breaths with each finger if you wish. And then release. We'll shake out those hands, shake out the fingers, bring the soles of the feet together here. We're going to take a forward fold in bound angle pose before we make our way down to our backs. Take a breath in. Exhale, release down over those feet. One more breath in, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, melt down. And release. Let's walk onto our backs, keeping the soles of those feet together. So I'm going to turn here. We slowly make our way down. Bring those arms overhead for a moment, just stretching those elbows towards the earth, melting the shoulder blades into the mat. Take a breath in, lift those arms up. Exhale, let them land on the belly. One hand on the belly, one hand either on the ribs or the chest, moving into our three-part complete Durga breath. Take a big breath in. Belly rises, rib cage expands, and the chest goes up. Exhale, the belly lowers, rib cage closes, chest goes down. Keep it moving in three parts. One more round of this three-part complete breath. And any other stretches, movements, or postures that would help you to feel complete in your practice. And then stretch out into your Shavasana, your final relaxation pose, remembering you can stay here beyond the close of our practice. Let everything integrate. Find that normal breath now. Begin to bring your attention back to your space. Wiggle fingers and toes, rotate through those wrists. Take a full body stretch, maybe bring those knees into the chest, rock back and forth. Eventually make your way to one side of your mat. Take another breath there. When you're ready, we press up to seated. I invite you to bring hands to heart center, letting the base of the thumbs touch the chest. You could bow slightly towards those hands. No matter where you are on your journey in this week, in this year, or in this whole lifetime, I thank you for pausing today to share this practice with all of us. The light, love, and peace in me recognizes and honors the light, love, and peace in each and every one of you. Namaste. for coming to your mats. I thank you, Becky, for your suggestion. I appreciate that. It helps me to go back and remember some of the many things that I have learned that it's good to bring back, that we maybe don't practice enough. So you've got this wrist practice. Keep those in your toolbox. And be well. Have a beautiful Thursday. And we'll see you Monday morning for our gentle practice. Okay, take care.